Hi guys, follow me on Instagram to never ever miss any of my crazy updates. Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I'm driving this. This is the 2020 Skoda Superb Facelift and this is the Sportline trim. Straight away we are going to be opening the engine bay of this vehicle, and as you can see it's an all new engine here, and yes, it sounds super duper refined as well. Obviously hydraulic struts, you've got insulation right here as well. But what all has changed on the front, can you identify? Because this facelift is super minor in terms of design changes, you really cannot identify what is new. Yes, the grille is slightly bigger now. Meanwhile, the lights are slimmer and the lights actually join the grille here. Earlier, it was not the case. Again, it gets this kink here, which is actually for the indicator. Now it gets all LED lights. Yes, that's right. It says Skoda Crystal Lighting. Yes, Skoda Crystal Lighting. All LEDs look really very nice. The lights, beautiful. This is the LED DRL, of course, and it's got a headlight washer as well, which puts a lot of spray on the road somehow. Specifically, if you have put soapy fluid inside the washer fluid, it's absolutely crazy. You can see the cuts and creases. Front parking sensors on this car. This is the LED fog lamp, and yes, it gets the cornering function as well. Now, because this is the Sportline trim, it doesn't get chrome, which the LNK gets. So you get gloss black finishing on the grille. Now the bumper also sees minute revision, but for the most part it looks very similar to the old Superb. Now this is the indicator of the car. The indicator is placed here. It is not an LED though. Yeah, it is actually a regular bulb. Yeah, they call it the all LED lights, but they're not all LEDs as such. So yes, cost cutting has been done there, or probably the age of the car is such you couldn't really have gone that way in order to give it complete LEDs for the indicator as well. But this car looks super nice. This is the race blue color. It's also available in white and grey. Meanwhile, the LNK is available in 5 colors. Yeah, the Sportline is available in only 3 colors. See the design of the car. It is really very long. It looks so nice, so elegant. Trust me, it doesn't look dated at all. The kind of elegance on the Superb is mind-blowing. In fact, it has some Mustang feel also to the side of it. Coming to the wheels of the car, the LNK gets dual tone wheels, different design. This one gets a single tone color. It's not really black, it's kind of greyish finish here. 215, 55, 17 is the size of the tire, and it says Sportline right here. Meanwhile, get gloss black finishing on the outside rear view mirror. It has this thing which projects on the floor for the puddle lamp. Gloss black finishing is there on the sunroof. They call it the panoramic sunroof. It's not a panoramic sunroof. And chrome is not here, which is the case with the LNK. So you know, this has just swapped out the chrome for gloss black finishing. So you got gloss black finishing on the B pillar, not on the A pillar as such, and around the window line as well. Looks really nice. I love the way it looks, super sporty. In fact, you can slap on VRS badges on this car. What does VRS mean? VRS does not mean voluntary retirement service, whatever. It actually means victory racing sport, not rally sport. Or you can also say that V is actually the topi which is there on top of Skoda, which was used on RS, so that it doesn't confuse people that this is Ford's RS, because Ford has obviously got the rights of RS in certain countries. But let's not digress. Okay, you see this color difference here? Yeah, it's a little bit more bluish. Meanwhile, here you get the gloss black line. Obviously the LNK gets chrome there, so yeah, they have differentiated it. All the doors get request sensors. You don't have to press any button on the doors or anywhere. You just put your hand inside and the doors open. Okay, let's just open this at the moment. Yeah, this is where the fuel actually goes, and they have put a nice lever here. So what happens is that you don't have to hang it here. It can hang along with the car, but it's better to slot in here so that there's no scratch from the same. Okay, they've actually mentioned the tire pressure right there. Coming to the rear, again the car is absolutely similar to the older model, but you know what, Skoda logo is not there anymore at the rear. Instead, they have written Skoda here. Yeah, it takes a lot of space, a lot of gapping, but because this is the Sportline, it's finished in black. Here you get again a gloss black line. You get chrome on the LNK, of course, and Superb is again finished in gloss black. So they just swapped out the gloss black, rather they swapped out the chrome for gloss black on the Sportline and vice versa. However, they ran out of gloss black paint when they were coming to the lower half of the rear bumper, because this is still finished in chrome. Yeah, that's identical to the LNK. Obviously, rear parking sensors. This is actually finished in black. It's not painted, probably to reduce the visual bulk. Now it gets dual exhaust, one here and another one here. Of course, you don't need any stick of truth to tell that this is actually a fake exhaust. Yes, that is fake AF. I don't know why brands are doing it. However, it actually has got dual exhaust in the real sense, because one exhaust is placed right here. Where is it? Yeah, there is one of the exhaust, and the other is here. Yep. So actual exhaust are below the car, but fake ones with these chrome surrounds are there on the outside. Towing hook of the car. This is obviously the reflector, and this is the rear fog lamp of the vehicle. The rear lights also get slight tweaks. Again, they look really very nice, very sporty, get the LED treatment too. But you know what, it gets a dynamic swipe indicator, so it swipes from inside to the outside. Just look at it, that is so cool. Although I think the indicator is actually on the smaller side here. Meanwhile, this is the reverse parking camera of the car, and you know what, when you actually get into reverse, or even when you use the front wipers with the washer fluid, it actually sprays on the rear camera to clean it. That is super cool on the Skoda Superb. Now you've got gloss black finishing for the shark fin antenna as well, but I can't stop going around the car because the design is just so good. I can't believe for a facelift I've almost spoken 6 minutes. Meanwhile, in the LNK, it has this hands-free boot opening. If you come close, you wave your feet below and it actually opens the boot. Here obviously it is powered. This feature is not available in the Sportline. You have to manually open it, or you can open it with the key as well. The key has a button here. You just press this button, it opens. The boot is massive. It's 625 liters. That's bigger than most SUVs at this price point. That's an absolute staggering boot. You know why? Because of course the boot opens with the rear windscreen as well. Sort of a hatchback treatment, but that really gives you a lot of boot space as well. Maybe they could have put a rear wiper. Maybe that's available in the global market. So I don't know, I cannot access the seat because it's so long. That's what she said. Here you've got, I think, car cover probably, but it actually shows plus, which is maybe for the first aid kit. There's a 12-volt charging socket here. There's a hook here, another hook here. Very practical. 2 hooks there as well. Another 2 hooks. There's a light placement here, another light placement here, another light placement here. How many lights will Skoda put in the rear? That's absolutely crazy. I think this should come out or something like that. Yep, it actually comes out. That is super cool. This actually becomes a torch. Yeah, this actually becomes a torch. This is such a nice thing, and then you slot it in and then it's charging as well. Another hook, another hook. My goodness, Skoda really thinks out of the park when designing even small things like a boot. Okay, this is a big boot. There's storage space here as well. My goodness, this is actually bigger than most cupboards you guys must be having at home. I can keep my house here. It's so big. Okay, let's open this thing. Spare wheel isn't an alloy. It's actually a smaller size tire, 205/50/516. It's a steel wheel. Obviously jack and all those things are kept there as well. So I'm in love with the boot of the car. You see there are hooks here as well. How many hooks should you put? Skoda is like, yes, we can do that. And this is the warning triangle of the car. Love it. I absolutely love the boot and the attention to detail and the practicality. Press a button, it's a power tailgate, closes, and that's done. It's time we get inside the Skoda Superb Sportline. And first things first, let me tell you that there is acres of space. If the boot was big, well, the rear seat is no less. But let's see the door pockets first. You see this finishing? It is so freaking premium and unbelievably good. Oh my god, I'm lost for words how well Skoda has done in terms of designing the car. Obviously, we've got a manual sunblind here as well for both the rear windows, of course, and sort of a carbon fiber finish which looks nice. Alcantara on the door pads and white stitching, leather. Wow, just look at the seats. They look so mind-blowing, phenomenal. I love the Alcantara treatment. It's just so sporty. All black cabin, looks really nice. The white stitching is super premium as well. It says Superb here. Whenever you're getting in the car, you should know which car you're getting inside. Okay, and obviously you can recline the seats if you want to increase the boot carrying capacity. You put both the seats down, you can carry another Skoda inside, maybe a Fabia or a Citigo. That is how big it is. And this is the way you can access the boot. But you know what? Who's going to take the pain of reclining a seat to access the boot? It's so light and easy to do it. It's mind-blowing. Okay, obviously you've got ISOFIX child seat anchors here. And the good thing here is that if I want to access the boot, there's another way for me to do it, but I'll tell you that in a bit. Alright, there's so much space on offer. There is acres of space on offer. Good amount of comfort, good amount of knee room. And of course, you know, there's no scoop up seat back, but there is a magazine holder here. And because you're going to sit behind and smoke, well, there is an ashtray along with a 12-volt charging socket, which is kind of the cigarette lighter. You got a third zone for the climate control at the rear. Here you can increase or decrease the temperature as well. Rear AC vents are placed in the center, but unfortunately there's a massive hump here, which means 3 people cannot sit inside this car comfortably, although Skoda thinks they can because they've given this car an adjustable headrest at the rear for the center passenger as well. So 3 adjustable headrests. Now this is a manual sunblind. You know how it works? You actually push it like this and that's how it comes out. I'm going to put it back, no problem. Here you go, and then it's done. Everything inside this car is so mind-blowingly easy to operate. It absolutely baffles me. Obviously, you've got a center armrest as well. And here, see another cool part, okay? The twin cup holders. There's a pen holder here. Yeah, that's right. And there's storage space here as well. this is so practical, but you know what, I want to access the boot. Okay, mostly two people will be sitting at the rear, third person is not welcome here. So how do you actually access the boot when two people are sitting? You can't just put the seat back. Well, Skoda's thought about that as well, because I can access the boot by, okay, was a little optimistic from my side, little bit of an effort. Yeah, here we go. So this is how you can actually access the boot from the rear seat as well. Wow, Skoda has thought so much while designing this car. It's absolutely mind-blowingly phenomenal. Seats are really nice and comfortable. Lot of support on offer as well. Although the recline angle could have been a little better because it's just a bit too upright for me. Meanwhile, headroom could have been better too because my hair is almost touching. But I am 6 feet 2 inches tall, so you can't blame me for that. Rather, you can't blame Skoda for that because there is decent amount of headroom on offer. There's good amount of comfort. Under thigh support is also quite decent, quite likable. There's a hook here, hook, handle, and again hook, handle, hook. Wow. Adjustable seatbelt height as well. This car's got 8 airbags, and you know what, the front seats are so big you really don't get a good view of what's ahead of you. But the L&K gets something known as a boss mode, where there are actually controls here. You can move the seats front and behind using a press of a button. That's also super nice in order to increase the rear legroom. Wow, that's amazing, right? So you can see the rear seat is just phenomenal. The quality levels, the build of this car, absolutely amazing. Okay, look at the dashboard. Dashboard is a little bit disappointing kind of because it's kind of aged now. It doesn't look as fresh as you would expect. Okay, light placement here on the top. Let's get out from here. Let's get to the front. Now, certain features are obviously there in the L&K. Okay, there's no soft door close, Faisal. Don't be so optimistic. I know this car rivals the Germans in terms of space and in terms of features as well. But you want soft door close in a Superb? Well, that's not happening. Skoda Superb. Skoda. Okay, these mirrors are actually heated and they also get the memory function. That's cool because it has memory seats both for the front seats. Okay, the L&K does not get a memory seat for the co-passenger, but this one gets it. Okay, you can save up to 3 people's settings. It's a 12-way electric adjust seat and the front seats are really nice and comfortable. See the bolstering on the side, really very nice and comfortable. Okay, it doesn't get adjustable headrests, but these are sporty seats and beautiful comfort, support. A little bit on the stiffer side, but you'll love it. You'll absolutely love the amount of comfort the front seats have to offer. Very sporty. Now, because this is the Sportline, it obviously gets an all-black cabin. Meanwhile, the L&K gets a dual-tone cabin and certainly more features as well because it costs more as well. Here it says Superb. See, there's good amount of space here too, but there's a dustbin. Yep, there's a dustbin and you can remove the dustbin if you want. That is super cool how it's done. Okay, these switches are actually reminding me of lesser Skoda cars, which is kind of awkward for me right now. And you got this white stitching here. Meanwhile, this is a child lock function. Not only does it child lock the rear windows, but also the rear doors. That's super nice. Obviously, all the windows are one touch up down. These are the controls for the outside rear view mirror adjustment. Chrome door handles on the inside. Again, that carbon fiber finishing I was talking about. Alcantara here. Aluminium pedals have been given to this car, and this is actually the lever to open the hood of the car. Ironically though, you don't have to open the door to do that, which is the case with almost all other VW Skoda cars, including Audi as well. Proper dead pedal. There is a secret storage space here as well, and this is obviously the lever for the headlight adjustment. When you pull it out once, front fogs turn on. When you pull it out twice, rear fogs turn on, and obviously it got the automatic headlight function too. Let's get inside. I have so much to talk about today because the Superb is so phenomenally well put together with a ton of features. Although the dashboard design could have been a little bit more adventurous. I'm going to turn off the air conditioning for a moment, and there is this irritating mosquitoes. Come inside, let him get out. First things first, there is some soft touch material, but yeah, it's actually soft touch, not very hard. It says Sportline here, so the co-passenger knows there's some serious business which is there with the performance of this car, although that is not really the case here, unfortunately. Press this button to open the glove box. The glove box is actually decent in terms of size, and it's got this beautiful finishing. Like, yeah, you see this treatment which is also there on the door pads as well. Obviously, it's a cool glove box, and it says Skoda Multimedia because you have 2 SD card slots as well. I think one is for the audio and the other is obviously for navigation because navigation relies on the SD card data. Okay, build quality is really very nice. I like it. Meanwhile, you see very cleanly done center console. Lot of things here. First and foremost, there's this massive center armrest below which there's actually a lot of storage space as well. There's a light placement here, there's a USB, and there is again the cooling function too. Let's close this. Here again there is storage space because there are 2.5 cup holders. I don't know what kind of cup holders is this because kind of looks weird. Could have been 2 or 3, but this is like a halfish thing. I don't think it's like, you know, this is how the design actually looks in real life of A intersection B intersection C, or I think it's A union B union C, something of that sort. I was very bad with this, I'm so sorry. Okay, there are multiple buttons here. This is obviously for the auto hold function, which holds the car when you're in gear. When you come to a stop, unless and until you get on the accelerator, it's not going to move. This is the electric parking brake, and this is the button to lock the vehicle. Now certain buttons which should have been on the door are over here, because this is actually the button to open the boot of the vehicle. This is the button to get into the parking sensors, and the reverse parking camera also starts, because it obviously gets front and rear parking sensors, doesn't get a front camera though. This is the auto stop start function, which you can turn off, and thankfully it's got a physical button for turning on and off traction control, although it also has that function in this screen. Now there is actually storage space here as well, because right here is the wireless charger of the car. Yeah, the wireless charger is placed here. You can put your phone. I don't know how the phone is going to fit. Neha, can you try that? And there's a USB here along with a 12-volt charging socket. So plenty of charging options inside this car. Just let me know if it starts charging. Just push it. No, it's not fitting in here. That's quite surprising. Go for it again. Did it start charging? No? Okay. So maybe this is not the wireless charger, but the car has a wireless charger. So I'm kind of wondering what's happening. Anyways, that gloss black finishing is carried forward here as well. And you see, these are actually the control for the air conditioning. It gets 3-zone climate control. 2 at the front. It says air care here. Okay, this is to increase or decrease the fan speed of the vehicle. This is obviously to increase or decrease the temperature and the various modes as well. Now the screen has a lot of reflection as such. However, this is an 8-inch screen. It gets Apple CarPlay. It gets Android Auto connectivity too. But you know what? It is actually a very slick system. Firstly, you get this chrome surround for that premium appeal, and it's an easy to use, very slick system. In fact, you can operate the air conditioning from here as well. That's quite nice. Let's get back to the menu. Okay, vehicle data, telephone, smart link, basically that is for the various connectivity options. You can get into radio, navigation, traffic. It will tell you exactly traffic data. I don't exactly know where it is picking it from, because this car obviously doesn't get connected car tech, unfortunately. And ironically, the Sportline doesn't get a few features which are present in the LNK, like it doesn't get front ventilated seats or heating function either. It doesn't get fatigue monitor. It doesn't get a tire pressure monitoring system either. So a lot of those features have been removed in the Sportline just to get to an attractive price point, I believe, or probably people who buy the Sportline are not interested in such features. Okay, let's get into settings. Now, obviously, I mean, this is a system which is loaded with so much information. It's going to take me 3 years to just make a video on this. So we're just going to get into vehicle. Okay, it's giving you vehicle data. Let's get into settings, and here you can obviously turn on and off the traction control system. You can get into ESP Sport as well. This is obviously the tire pressure monitor. No, it's not the tire pressure monitor, it's for winter tires. So tire pressure monitor is also somewhere here only. Okay, and you get a ton of information, but what we're really interested in right now is, of course, the ambient lighting, which is known as the background lighting. It gets 10 color LED ambient lighting, which when you change, it obviously reflects on the various parts of the car. You can see that right now. But it also changes the color of the instrument cluster. So you see the instrument cluster's color also changes accordingly when you change the ambient lighting of this vehicle. So right now we're just going to put it into green. Yeah, green looks really nice. Reminds me of the BMW 7 Series, because I was mostly driving that car with the green color. The steering obviously gets adjustment both for height as well as reach, basically reach and brake adjustment. But it should have been electric at this price point. You know what? The buttons in this car, like an afterthought, like I told you, some of the buttons shouldn't be here, should have been here. Meanwhile, the engine start button is actually placed here. It should have been placed maybe here or here or here, but it's like where the keyhole was originally. Now, do you like the dashboard design? I think it could have been more adventurous. It's actually showing its age in terms of the dashboard design. Meanwhile, you obviously get a mirror along with the light, and in both places. And this is one of the few cars where actually even on the driver's side there is a handle. That's absolutely shocking. It's unneeded. And these are obviously the controls for the lights. The lights work really well. There is an auto dimming inside rear view mirror. It's not frameless. It gets a plastic surround too. Meanwhile, this is actually the sunroof, which, like I told you, they call it the panoramic sunroof. It's not a panoramic sunroof because it's just so small in terms of size, but still big enough in terms when you open it. However, there's a problem. When you open it, this thing does not open. Yeah, that's right. This thing you have to actually manually open, and in one go only it opens to the maximum. That's about it. It's not going to open any further. Decent in terms of size, but it's not panoramic in any way. You can actually close it like this. Yeah, that's kind of awkward. I was expecting it to roll around with the, of course, with the sun blind as well. So that's kind of weird. Okay, now the gear lever obviously feels nice to hold. It gets the leather treatment. In fact, this steering is known as the Super Sport steering wheel, and it gets a flat bottom. It gets leather. It gets this beautiful stitching here as well. Now this is actually the controls for the cruise control, and this is to change the various modes of this virtual cockpit. Now this is to browse through the multi-information display, which by the way is loaded with a ton of information. Now we've obviously done multiple videos on virtual cockpit, so I don't even have to talk about this, but this is an amazing system, very clear to read. But you get these bars on either side. On the right side, of course, it is for the fuel. On the left side, it was for the engine temperature, and you get all the information here. If I press this button right here, okay, you can actually change the modes. Yeah, multiple modes which look really very nice and cool as well. And I personally like this one. It's very sporty. Then this is the one wherein actually the dials come later, so the graphics have been beautifully done here. You know what, when I turn off the car here, I turn off the car, okay, and it shows Skoda coming there, the car, of course, the Superb, spinning all around, which is also there in the Octavia, of course. This is again very nice and super slick and looks so beautiful as well. In fact, when you get inside the car, it says Sportline. Every time you get inside the car, it actually displays Sportline right in the instrument cluster. Let's lock the doors at the moment. Okay, let's get into reverse. Now this is the reverse parking camera. When I get my finger close by, it obviously shows me more functions, which is also the case in other menus too. It's also giving me a lot of data exactly where an obstacle is, which is nicely done too. Meanwhile, it obviously gets adaptive guidelines. The LNK also gets self-park, which is missing in this car. When I use the front wipers here, wiper test, you see a lot of spray on offer, cleans the windscreen in no time at all, and there the headlight wash is also working because the lights are on, but it also sprays here. Check this out. Okay, the spray is coming here to clean the camera, the rear camera, which is again a very cool thing. Now let's get into this menu, which we've already there. Let's get into settings, and there is something known as instrument cluster. Okay, now obviously you get eco tips, basically tells you to roll up your windows or shift to drive mode from sport mode to conserve fuel as well. But it's really the virtual cockpit configuration which can be done from here. You see, I can change various settings how I want to see the screen. Okay, inside basically you can change, and it can even show you route guidance here inside the tachometer. That's also really very cool. These are obviously the controls for the audio system, and this is the control for the wipers, the front wipers. There's no rear wiper here, and this is the control for the cruise control, although you can activate it from here, but this is actually how you browse through other various functions. It gets plastic paddles, and there is also a toll receipt holder right there. Again, a Skoda thing of offering you a lot of practical bits inside a car. Meanwhile, let me turn off the car and show you a couple of more interesting bits. First and foremost, here, I don't know why, the rear disc has some amount of rust here. I don't know, maybe probably it is because of the Mumbai rains and the lockdown, but you can see some amount of rust has happened, which is unexpected. These are Aspire 4G tires from Apollo. I thought Ford made these tires, and with the button I can actually, I know you guys will be like so predictable, but I can actually open and close the windows by pressing a button. Here I press a button, and there all the windows roll down. Even the sunroof opens, it tilts actually, and there all the windows have opened. Meanwhile, you want to close it, press this button here, and there all the windows will close as well with a touch of a button, and so does the sunroof too. Now let's open this thing, the boot, with the touch of a button. There the boot opens. So yes, electric tailgate works beautifully well on this car. We're just going to shut it at the moment. So you can operate a lot of things from this rather small remote, which just has 3 buttons as such. Yeah, probably you would have expected it to have a lot more buttons, but just with 3 buttons, it's able to do so many functions too. Let's open the car, let's get inside, and it's high time we start driving this vehicle. But before we get going, let's listen to the audio system of this vehicle. Audio quality is actually quite nice. This car gets a 8-speaker audio system. Meanwhile, the LNK gets an 11-speaker Canton sound system with 610 watt output, and it also gets a subwoofer too. Meanwhile, it also gets a power nap package wherein from the headrest you can remove these side supports for your head so that your head does not move around when the car is being driven and you're sleeping at the rear. And it also gets, yes, 2 umbrellas in the front doors along with holders, so there's place to keep your umbrellas, which is not there in the Sportline. So just the whole point here is that a person who's driving a Sportline does not use an umbrella. Yeah, there are certain buttons missing because the LNK also gets a drive mode selector. Alright, we're all set to go, which means we get into drive mode, and you see the steering is super light. This car is so easy to maneuver. It's absolutely baffling, and you can drive this car with a lot of ease as well. Air conditioning is obviously off right now, but you know what? It is so much at ease even in the city because the drivability is absolutely phenomenal on this car. So Skoda has done a great job in terms of the way this motor is tuned. I'm sorry, actually Volkswagen has done a great job by making this brilliant 2-liter TSI engine, which is turbocharged, uses direct injection, and has no turbo lag whatsoever. There is no flat spot in the power delivery. It just has punch, and more punch throughout the rev range. So yes, low speed drivability is great. Mid-range has a nice punch to it, and the top end is also very exciting. Over bad roads, the Superb feels so comfortable, firstly because the suspension is super soft, okay, and it just glides through the worst of roads. It's very compliant. They have not actually changed the suspension setting from the previous Superb, the pre-facelift model, and that's the reason why the suspension is the same as before, and thus so is the ride quality, which is absolutely brilliant on this car. The steering is so easy to twirl. It's mind-blowing how easy and comfortable this car is to drive. I never expected the car, which is so big in terms of size. The Superb is actually all of 4.8 meters long, slightly more than 4.8 meters. You can say it's 4.9 meters almost long, with a wheelbase of 2.84 meters. It still feels super easy to drive, which is absolutely mind-bogglingly shocking. That is how well engineered it is. I mean, you never feel the weight of the vehicle. Braking performance is also very nice. So you're going to turn off traction control and we get into sport mode. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, launch control program active, and off we go. That's a lot of wheel spin, but then it bogs down, unfortunately. In fact, for a DSG box, this is a very aggressive launch. It goes from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 7.7 seconds, which is blisteringly quick. In fact, it's faster than the 1.8 TSI, which it replaces by 0.8 seconds. Yeah, there's only one engine option on offer and only one gearbox. So you can say only one powertrain option is available right now, which happens to be the 2-liter TSI with a 7-speed DSG automatic gearbox. And as you can see, the performance is super slick. It's very refined, it's extremely smooth, and most importantly, it's punchy throughout. Okay, dear doggy, are you crossing or not crossing? He's still confused. Okay, kickdown is really very fast. Only thing is that at lower speeds, the gearbox fumbles a bit. It's not very sure where it wants to put the gears into. Obviously, it's a dual clutch gearbox DSG unit. It has 2 clutches on offer. Now, let's compare this engine with the 1.8 TSI, which it replaced. The 1.8 TSI was absolutely phenomenal. This one is just better. It's such a great engine. It produces 190 horsepower between 4,200 to 6,000 RPM. Well, that's fine, but that's an increment of 10 horsepower compared to the old 1.8 TSI. However, it produces 70 Newton meters more torque now, 320 Newton meters of torque, which comes in at a rather low 1450 RPM and peaks at 4,200 RPM. That's the reason why it has an absolute stupendous mid-range punch. It really pushes hard in the mid-range and really excites you as well. That is the level of punch on offer. It has a top speed of 239 kilometers per hour, which is a mind-blowingly quick top speed for a car of this size, which is more oriented towards comfort. But because of the soft suspension, you can feel a bit of the softness, especially over rumblers and no, not really over rumblers, but expansion joints on the highway. You can feel that softness because there is vertical movement on offer. The steering is nice to twirl. In fact, it offers you good feel and feedback as well. It does weigh up at higher speeds, but the only issue which I'm facing here is that it kind of feels a little bit artificial in the way the weight is added here. It doesn't feel really fluid as such, but gives you a lot of confidence. Like I told you, high speed stability is good, but vertical movement is there in plenty, and because of that vertical movement, trust me on this, it does move around quite a bit over bad roads when you speed up out on the highway. So yes, I think it's more city oriented, the suspension, and it does a fab job in the city. The ride is so beautifully done, and the suspension is also quite silent, which means that overall comfort levels are really the priority here with the Skoda Superb. The ground clearance is also ample. It has a ground clearance of 156 mm, and in spite of its weight of 1579 kgs, you don't feel that weight at all. That's how light it is. In fact, you can twirl the steering wheel with one hand itself. That's how light the steering wheel is. Mind-blowing, right? Now, this engine is obviously shared with the Volkswagen Tiguan All-Space. This 2-liter TSI motor. It replaces the diesel. It replaces the 1.8 TSI, and it is more fuel efficient than the 1.8 TSI by 0.43 kilometers per liter when you're only talking about automatic gearbox options, because the 1.8 TSI was also available with a manual box, which is unfortunately not on offer right now. Meanwhile, the diesel is gone. The diesel was fuel efficient by more than 3 kilometers per liter. 3 kilometers per liter, well, that is quite a lot, because in the real world, we would get more efficiency from a diesel, not just 3 kilometers per liter. I believe more, because the diesel has so good mid-range punch that you don't need to push it hard and fast. That's amazing. Now, over bad roads, you see, absolutely silent suspension. Onto the gas, it actually gets quite sporty in the mid-range, and in the top end also screams with a nice softness. Meanwhile, the road is bad on the first 2 lanes, but still we'll go through it because I want to show you how good the ride quality is. It gets a little noisy over really bad road, the suspension, but for the most part it's really very brilliant. The tires could have done with more grip though, and as I get into the gas I realize that it actually revs quite fast. It's always so eager to pull hard and fast. That's the beauty of this car. It shines in almost every condition, whether it's city drivability or highway runs. This is such a brilliant engine. This engine is fab. The gearbox is super fast with shifts. There's no lag to speak of. It just does the shifts like that, as long as you're not really on stop-go traffic, because there it sort of fumbles between first and second, deciding what to offer you at that moment. I love it. I love this engine. This is so phenomenal. So the diesel's official ARAI rated mileage was 18.19 kilometers per liter. The official rated mileage of this car is 15.10 kilometers per liter, and the older one, the 1.8 TSI, was less efficient, which is kind of baffling because this is actually having more displacement, yet it is more efficient. Well, you can have your cake and eat it too as well. Now, the thing here which most people forget is that people want to buy diesels because of the range they offer. Now, they have a 66 liter fuel tank capacity, but that won't really make it go as hard and fast as a diesel. I say hard because the diesel's mid-range torque meant that you could actually drive it fast without having to near the red line. Obviously, diesel's red line much earlier. Here, I mean, there's good amount of grunt, there's amazing drivability, all that is given. But if you really want to drive it fast, you have to push it into the top end of the rev range. Now, obviously, I'm driving in sport mode. I can get into drive mode. This is drive mode. I can push the lever on the left side and get into manual mode. It doesn't give me complete manual control of things because, yeah, right now, let's see. Here we are in third gear right now. Gearing is not tall as such, so here we are into second gear, revving the motor, and it will upshift. It will not hold on to a gear, unfortunately. I don't need to shift the lever on the left side. I can also manually take control of things using the steering mounted paddles. That's also very convenient, but no real manual control of things, but multiple ways to actually change gears. I think sport mode is the best. Here we are into sport mode, and that urgency is always shown from this vehicle, which is fab. In terms of handling characteristics, it does handle well, like I told you, but there is body roll on offer because this is a big car, it's a long car, it's a hefty car in that sense. And of course, because of the softness, there is body roll on offer, but still, it's quite well contained. And although you will not really enjoy driving this car hard and fast around the corners, this is actually the Sportline, which should make you feel sporty, right? Well, not quite, because this does not get, and yeah, I have to break it to you, it does not get drive modes which are available in the LNK. If this is the Sportline, it should have got drive modes. Now, there are 4 drive modes on offer in the LNK. Number 1 is obviously the Eco mode, which will turn down the power just to get you more efficiency. There is normal mode, which also feels fine. There is Sport mode, wherein obviously it feels more spritey because the powertrain becomes more eager. The air conditioning also becomes a bit sporty. I don't know how air conditioning becomes sporty, because there are 3 changes which happen when you change the drive modes. One is the air conditioning, the other is the steering, which offers you more feel in sport mode, and of course the engine, which gives you even more punch. And there's an individual, I think there's a custom mode. You can also tweak things according to your own whims and fancies. I forgot to tell you that this car actually also gets a nice lip spoiler at the rear, and that is finished in gloss black. It's a small spoiler just for that sporty appeal. Meanwhile, ASR is turned off at the moment, and I can actually, see there's a bit of a difference in terms of the 3 traction modes. One is obviously traction control is on, which bogs you down when you try to rev the nuts out of the motor. Then there is the then there is traction control off, which is like it shuts it and lets you wheel spin. There's traction control sport as well, giving you a mix of both these conditions. Seeing around the corners, it feels sure-footed but does move around a bit because of the soft suspension of this vehicle. But overall handling is quite impressive for a car of this size, for a car of this price, and I sense we are going to see rain any given moment. Yeah, I like this car. I do like this car a lot, but you know what? It costs 4 lakh rupees more than the 1.8 TSI. So yes, price has increased dramatically as well. It's kind of disappointing. Now it gets hill ascent control, the hill climb and hill descent control, and it's got electronic locking front diff as well, which decides how it wants to channel power to the front wheels. That's a lot of wheel spin on offer, trust me. I think the DSG box is quite aggressive in this car. Usually it bogs you down lower end. Now, the price difference between the Sportline and the LNK is 3 lakhs when you talk about ex-showroom, but on the road, the price difference happens to be 3.67 lakhs. So the price of this car is around, or it's almost 37 lakhs. It's 36.78 lakhs somewhere, 35.78 lakhs is the on-road price of the Sportline. Meanwhile, the LNK's price is 39.5 lakhs, almost 39.5 lakh rupees. But What is the competition on offer here? There is no competition actually. There is no other car in the segment. There is a Toyota Camry hybrid. Now both the cars are powered by petrol engines only. The Camry obviously gets a hybrid engine. It's a CBU. This is a CKD. Obviously more attractive pricing because the Camry costs, hold your breath, 10.43 lakhs more than the Sportline trim of the Skoda Superb, and the price difference is almost 6.5 lakhs when you compare the LNK and the Camry hybrid, because the Camry hybrid costs around 46.5 lakh rupees. Extremely overpriced, but yes, is more fuel efficient because of hybrid power, but more reliable too, easy to maintain, also has good amount of space on offer. But the Superb just feels like its tagline, simply superb. Actually that tagline is gone now because the new tagline is best in the next class. There is no next class as such because there is no car which rivals the Skoda Superb as such. The Superb is just superb. The way it has been made is phenomenal, but it was more known for its diesel engine. That was its USP over the Camry and the Accord. The Accord never sold in the Indian market. I mean, it was on sale but nobody bought it, because why should you buy a car which guzzles fuel like crazy? But it was a hybrid. The issue wasn't fuel consumption. The issue was more to do with the fact that it was priced like crazy. 50 lakh rupees for a Honda Accord. If anyone in USA comes to know that, they would laugh. They would be like, you know what, we can get an NSX for the price. I'm just kidding, but still it was super overpriced. I don't know what Honda was doing by pricing the Accord at levels which was obnoxious. Launch control program active. Lot of wheel spin then, but it bogs down. Yeah, I don't know why it keeps bogging down. Anyways, the Skoda Superb is an absolute stellar car. The kind of value for money it offers is unbelievably good. However, and unfortunately though, the car does miss out on certain features which you would expect in 2020. Like connected car tech is not there on this car because obviously it's old. New generation would obviously take the game forward, but at the moment the Superb is still unbeatable. Yeah, they should offer hybrid. At least a plug-in hybrid should be offered in the Indian market. That would be really nice. But more important than that, they should bring back the diesel, because the Superb was really superb because of its diesel engine. This 2-liter TSI is also nice, but you have to pay 4 lakhs more for the facelift when compared to the pre-facelift model, which doesn't make sense because they have not done many changes to the car and they've just upgraded the engine. Is it worth 4 lakhs just for the engine upgrade and the minor cosmetic tweaks on the outside and all? Well, I don't really think so. However, this car still feels very value for money in spite of the hike in terms of pricing. So as I see it, the Skoda Superb still continues to be one of the best luxury cars you can buy for your money, because the Germans cost a lot more money, but the C-Class or the 3 Series do not even come close in offering the level of comfort and space. You really have to aim for the E-Class, which is a long wheelbase, which costs almost twice as much, making it a very expensive alternative to the Superb. This car just does not have any competition whatsoever. I mean, there is just no competition. Look at the way it glides over the worst of roads. If it was any other car, it would have really rattled and shaken, but not stirred. And on that bombshell, it's time to end. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. That's the like button. Meanwhile, I need to tell you this, that the GoPro camera has really messed up. We've used 2 cameras, 3 adapters, 4 mics, and this is the 5th time I'm actually vlogging on this car. Neha is so frustrated today because of the repeated vlogs which we are doing just to get this vlog right. I hope it's right. I hope you enjoyed it, and just to show your love for the car, give this video a thumbs up. If you don't love the car, you can still give this video a thumbs up, because who doesn't like... क्या बोलना है? Who doesn't like to taste the thunder?
What? Thumbs up का क्यों tagline use कर लिया?
Thumbs up ने sponsor किया ना, मजाक कर रहा हूँ.
I told you, Superb मस्त है.
तुमने कब बोला Superb मस्त है?
मैंने कितनी बार बोला.
चल झूठी.
Superb.